You're listening to Rocket Night.
Are you ready? Hey, tonight I'm gonna take you on a little trip. We're going down south by the mighty Mississippi. I'm gonna take you to a place where lights never dim. Bring your mother, your brother, and your best friend. I'm gonna show you where they dance out in the street. They'll tell you all about your body heat. I'm not gonna talk about it, just gonna do it. Get on down, if you feel up good. Get on down.
This is Charisse with Rocket Night Magazine, and today we are speaking with Detroit band Second Hand Mojo. We recently reviewed their single, Kiss My Baby Goodnight, and tomorrow they're coming out with a new single video called Good Vibes. We're speaking with Vern and James. Almost forgot there. Okay. Hey, guys.
Hey, fun.
Welcome.
That's a difficult and very, unusual name. Right?
Yeah, it's the J that throws me off. I'm kidding. So, Secondhand Mojo. I know you guys actually hail from Canton, but is it okay to say Detroit?
Sure. Yeah, but we're the Metro Detroit area, sure. We have guys from further away as well, too. We're centrally located here in Canton, which is us. Right? But like James lives in Monroe. Our drummer Scott lives in Gregory, which is out towards Jackson and Chelsea, in that area there. Mark, the keyboard player, lives down the road from me here too. And then Chuck actually is from Toledo. So we come together from a little bit away. Everybody kind of makes their trek to get here.
For you guys out there, if you don't know, Toledo's like about an hour away. Toledo, Ohio.
Yeah, if that, 45 minutes, something like that. So,
yes, it's all in the vicinity. I'm not sure when you guys formed. How old is the band?
It's actually 5 years for our since Chuck joined. And James, you've been here 4 years probably at least, right?
Probably about that.
Yeah. 4 years for James and Q as well. So because Q was just a couple weeks after you, I think, wasn't he?
Something like that. A month, a few months maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then the Q we got from he and I played with David Winans. We were in that band. That's how I knew Q, and we thought a keyboard player would fill us out nicely, and that's kind of how that worked out. James and Chuck actually knew each other from forever ago. They both worked in the Toledo area there, doing cover stuff during college, right, James?
Yeah. Early days, back in like the 90s, early 2000s, we were in bands that played the same circuits in Toledo quite heavily for years. So we kind of were acquaintances, knew each other, knew of each other.
And then Scott and I have been together about 15 years. He's been in 2 other bands with me prior to this.
So Secondhand Mojo, explain how you all picked that name.
So I came up with the name because I'm a huge Lightning Hopkins guy, right? And he has the song Mojo Hand. I always liked it. And I also like, the whole Louisiana vibe with the Mojo bags and, and all that, the hoodoo and all that kind of fun stuff. And I'm a blues guy at heart personally, so I wanted something with Mojo Hand in it, right? And then in working it through, the first batch of songs that we started with, I actually wrote prior to the formation of the band, and it was all kind of bluesy stuff. And the key to me is, or the reason I thought Secondhand Mojo is because, really, to be honest with you, we're not inventing the wheel here by any shape or form, right? None of us have stumbled upon some secret sauce or whatnot that's never been done. It's we do it our way, right? Which is kind of like picking it up and taking it into another direction. Which once we added the other guys in, especially, it's gone in a vastly different directions, right, than it was before, which is the point of having a band. So Secondhand Mojo kind of means, hey, we're taking this stuff here, we're making our own, we're going to see where it takes us from there. So.
Well, the band definitely has a classic rock sound. So in a sense, you're saying you're just recycling or doing more of what we all like.
Yeah, it's doing what we like too. I mean, that's the deal. Our influences are diverse, but they have certain areas where they coalesce, right? Which is kind of the starting point for us. And then what's neat is that, and again, being in a band, the idea is that each guy will have their input and take it in a place that you don't consider when you come up with your little bit or whatnot, or when the guy brings it in. So the collaborative process of that is what I enjoy. So, but that's exactly it. I wouldn't say recycling, but yeah, our influences bleed through us for sure. So.
Now, your music has a definitely 70s and 80s vibe. And your last song, Kiss My Baby Goodnight, everybody's talking about the introduction because it's so Boston,
Yep.
with the keyboards. And then it sounds very prog rock. And then it gets back into more hard driving, I guess you could say classic rock, 80s rock.
Mhm.
So you definitely have influences from all over.
So our keyboard player is a big prog rock guy. He's a big ELP guy, right? And we all like Boston and stuff, but that one came together as we were starting a rehearsal. We were kind of messing with different bits, and as the guys came in, everybody added something. But I definitely agree. I hear the Boston thing. That's the first thing I thought when I heard it too. But then we've gotten a bunch of ELP, yes, things that people say it sounds like this or this or this. That's the beauty of it. And then James actually wrote the middle section, right? The cool funky breakdown, right? And James, I when I heard that, I thought Led Zeppelin. I don't know what the impetus for that was. Do you?
No, I just brainstorm. I tend to like brainstorm ideas and record them on like a little phone memo or little memo audio app on the phone. And if you have like 20, 30 ideas, maybe one of them's decent, right? So that's kind of what I do. I just kind of spray them out there and record stuff as it pops into your head, and you stumble across one that's usable.
And then the rest of the stuff was really, to be honest, ZZ Top's kind of where most of that comes from. The guitar part, that driving thing. Because I'm a big prior to LaGrange and things like that. Definitely prior to Eliminator. I liked all the old bluesy rock and roll. Big Billy Gibbons fan. So.
As a matter of fact, I heard somebody like unrelated generically commented, "Hey, that song sounds like if Keith Emerson played with ZZ Top." That's pretty accurate. That was right on the money.
Definitely the tone of the guitar could be like ZZ Top. What kind of pedals and stuff do you use?
So pedals I don't use a whole lot. There's a little bit of reverb on there. It's a Hall of Fame reverb. I add a little tiny bit of delay. Really, to be honest, it's the amps that I use. They're Guytrons. They're all hand wired, point to point stuff. But as a matter of fact, the one that I used on the recording is actually it's like a cutout version of one of the other Guytrons. Their smallest one's a GT20, and it's just fantastic in the studio. Right, it's got great headroom and all that fun stuff, and it's got some grit to it, and it's kind of like a cross between a Marshall and like a Tweed. That's the circuit itself, or at least in my opinion. And really just let the amp do the work, and then try and stay out of its way. So.
It definitely has that old school sound, which I like.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of that era. I'm a big 60s, 70s, 80s guy. Mm-hmm. So, and then blues before that, right? So,
Speaking of 70s and 80s, I saw you just did a gig with Humble Pie.
Yeah, that was actually that was last year. I'm sorry, Humble Pie.
It was September, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in September. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, we did. It was them and Anthony Rosano and the Conquerors, right? I'm a big Humble Pie guy. We get compared to Humble Pie a lot, right? Because there's some similarities in the sound and whatnot, especially with the first recording. It's funny because there's nobody left in the band from the band.
Yeah, I know.
Once the band, he hires these guys. So we got a chance to hang out with those fellows, and they were good guys. I mean, really nice. It was a lot of fun, a good hang, and they really did a nice job. They played Black Coffee. Right, and I'm like, oh, that's not when you're going to hear.
The new iteration, are they Brits?
No,
they're Americans.
One guy's British, the rest of them are all Americans, right? As a matter of fact, guy from California. There was a guy from like Long Island, and I think the bass player not originally from Brooklyn, but lives in Brooklyn now. So, but just good guys. It was a good hang. They were fun to hang around with. Right, we had some chat afterwards. Really had a fun time with the guys before them, Anthony Rosano and the Conquerors. They just came off tour with ZZ Top to go on that tour, right? And then they're out with Tab Benoit, or is it Benoit or Benoit? How is that, James? Do you know?
No, I don't. Benoit probably.
Yeah, they're signed to England and stuff, but they were great guys. They're from Virginia Beach, and we had a blast with them. Right? As a matter of fact, we didn't get back here to the warehouse to drop the stuff off till like 3:30 in the morning. So I mean, we stayed up late, howling the moon and all that good stuff. So, but yeah, we kind of seem to be the go-to for the classic rock era guys that come through. So, and that's our crowd too, which is nice because those are the people that really, the people that like that music, like our music.
Well, that was another question. I would say baby boomers, Gen Xers definitely have an affinity towards 60s and 70s, but I'm noticing a lot of the younger bands, guys in their 20s, especially around Detroit, playing garage rock.
Yep.
And playing what I would say would be classic rock. They call it new classic.
Yeah, we kind of use that moniker a little bit. I would say the difference between us and the regular new classic stuff is one, right? But two, ours is patently and decidedly Midwestern, right? People that are our age grew up in this area. That was the height of what is now called classic rock, right? And I mean, like we were issued the Peter Frampton live, right? When you were born, here you go. This is what you need to know. Jay Giles and all that stuff were huge here, right?
Well, Bob Seger, come on.
Yep. Not saying, right? But so ours has that lean to it, or has that sensibility to it, right? Just from being from the Midwest, I think, really. But yeah, new classic rock, I dig it. I think it's great. The kids are doing it. It's almost like the Southern rock revival that happened a few years ago, in that kind of stuff. So now you've got like Tedeschi trucks and them picking up the mantle and running with it, But they're direct lineage, obviously. But you see what I mean. Each little era has its moment, right? There's no era, and they keep coming back. It seems. Fortunate for us, this is just where we landed. It wasn't like a planned thing. Hey, we'll sound like this. It was just, let's see what we got and go from there.
I noticed a lot of these new bands came out of COVID. I guess people must have been bored and they were playing their guitar or whatever. How did COVID treat you guys? What did you do during that period?
What's funny, we actually released our first recording on January 20th of 2020.
Oh, wow. Right before.
On the 24th is when they sent everybody home from work.
Yeah.
It was life on Mars at that point. We kept in touch. There were some ideas that got floated back and forth and whatnot. The minute we were able to get back together was just such a relief. And the thing I remember most about that, James, was that I was like, oh, it just feels so much better to just be out and see other people. You know what I mean? Yeah. That trepidation, but it was cool. It was like we hadn't. I remember thinking too. It didn't feel like there was a lot of rust. You know what I mean? We got back together and kind of picked up where we were.
Yeah, and we got a handful of songs out of it. So there were these shows we would meet and we would start kicking around ideas, and about every couple of rehearsals, it seemed like there was a new song coming out of it.
Yeah, I agree. And then once we were able to get back at it, we kind of hit the ground running a little bit. Stuff that got canceled prior to that, we caught up with, and then things started to pick up right away. The second wave came through a little bit. I don't know that it affected us as bad, but it's still, in the end result is we lost 2 years of actual getting out and developing an audience, right? It does appear though lately that we've started to pick up steam with that again, right? And so I think the benefit is, like James said, we had a chance to write and all that kind of fun stuff, right? Like right in the next few weeks, it's going to be awfully difficult to write new stuff, just because we have show, right? Which is good. I'm not mad about that. I love to play live, but it does make it harder to find the time to do it, as a group. So.
Well, one thing I think that I noticed was when everything opened up again, the fans were so hungry for music.
What was the first one we played, James, afterwards? What?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly.
Was it Switchboard? I think it was. It was like, because it was after opening. So this place we had done our first CD release party down there, right? And we've always done well there, but the place seemed inordinately packed. And it was it was funny. It was a really, really warm day, like in November, right? Too. I remember that as well. But yeah, it did feel like a relief, right? There was always a weird tentativeness to it at first, and then once you get into it, you're into it, So, but yeah, it's amazing how things change.
Did you notice any venues closing after COVID?
Not necessarily in Detroit, right? There were some places that maybe sold. There were some places we're going to play Max up in Lansing next week, and they took the COVID time to actually remodel that place, right? Because it was a little CBGB-ish, right? It's kind of filthy, right? But it's also a landmark, right? And so. But they took time to go through it and redo all the stuff that they needed to, and kind of bit the bullet. So that was good. I think some of the stuff that that where they were helping businesses during that time was probably beneficial for sure.
You have some more gigs coming up. It looks like you're playing with Orianthe.
Yep, and our boys brother from Brother Kane, right?
Yeah.
They actually both have new albums out. Orianthe has her new album out, and Brother Kane, it's the 25th anniversary of their big one, and then they just put a new single out, a 2-sided single, right? Which I happily added to all my happiness. And they are great guys. I've not met Orianthe before, right? But when we played with Brother Kane, what was it, February, James, something like that?
Yeah, around there.
They couldn't have been nicer. From everybody, from the crew to the management to the guys themselves, they were just great dudes. Period. Right, and it was so much fun. They were so pleasant to all of us. They took the time. We were the first band on the bill, right? And so they took the time to come out of their dressing room, come down, say hi to us, say hi to our crew, say hi to, make sure, hey, thank us for doing this and all that kind of fun stuff, and then just hang out and chat for a little bit. They couldn't have been more polite, gentlemen to every one of them. So I'm looking forward to that one just because they're great guys.
I love to hear that. Nice stories about people being professional, and there's mutual respect because you're all musicians.
Yeah. No, that's I agree. We've had a string of really good ones lately, haven't we, James? As far as people we're playing with.
Yeah, there hasn't been anybody that I recall that was, particularly challenging. But so far has been really. Granted, some of the smaller, we're not playing huge stadiums yet, but
One band I'm pretty excited about you playing with is Robert John and the Wreck. That's on December 8th, I think it is here.
Yes.
We have been reviewing their work and reviewing their live shows for the last, 2 years, 3 years, something like that. You're going to like them.
I dig their sound. They're kind of Southern rockish. They're kind of classic rockish. They've been they've been super friendly as well too, from the get-go since we showed up on the bill. Right. So I'm really looking forward to meeting those guys too, because they seem like cool dudes from here. And they've reached out to us. They've followed us on the social media. We've done, the exchange and all that fun stuff. And just super excited because they've got a new single out now too, right? It came out last week.
They're really big in the UK.
Yeah, I'm sure that makes sense.
That's something. A lot of the bands here that you don't really know about or have heard about. I mean, I discovered like Blackstone Cherry and all these Southern rock bands in the UK before I even heard them here. Yeah. Blackberry Smoke and bands like that.
Well, Blackberry Smoke, they consider the Machine Shop in Flint one of their home venues, right? This is one of the first areas to grab hold of them.
Oh.
Detroit's always been at the forefront of most of that stuff. I mean, like Jay Giles, right? Obviously, all the fun stuff. But as weird as the Bare Naked Ladies, this is like the first place they did well.
Kiss, I was going to say. I mean, they have that album live at Cobo Hall.
One of the greatest live albums ever.
Yeah.
So this has always been kind of a leading edge area, anyways, for that stuff, for at least discovering it or embracing it or whatnot, And it doesn't surprise me at all. Right. The other thing too is this: when I was in the service, and I've been back and forth to Europe a bunch. Right. The one thing that I noticed, what's really funny being from Detroit, anything Detroit, they love it. Period. They just love it. Right. Especially England and Germany. Right. They're all about Detroit, which is fantastic. And Spain was big too on it too. Our buddies the Mugs. Right. They used to tour every year over to Spain. And had a great time over there stuff. But there's some love back and forth over there, so it's kind of nice.
Let's talk about your new song, Good Vibes, that comes out tomorrow. Your video and everything. It's funny, when I first heard it, I thought this is definitely a party song. But you know what popped into my head? Huey Lewis in the News. If you had some saxes, you could be a Huey. I like him. I hope you don't think that's an insult.
No, I love him. No, God, what's funny about that is, and why that's funny to us, is because everybody hears something different in their music. Like when they see us live, they go, "Oh, you guys just like her. You guys sound like."
Right.
But it's never one band for us, right? They always go, "You sound just like so and so and so and so." And so the funniest one we ever heard was Van Gogh's, by the way, his bass player. For goodness sakes, super nice guy, goes, "You guys sound like Motley Crue and Huey Lewis in the News." I'm like, well, that's just the honest.
He said the same thing. Wow.
So, and you know what? Since then, I've heard it 2 more times, but it's funny because we don't hear that, right? But
Uh-huh.
obviously, they were influential as hell for a while there. You know,
Well, those are genre defining songs. I mean, they're not. The Huey Lewis song is not an '80s or a '90s song. It's Huey Lewis, right? And so
Yep.
it has long legs. Right? They still play regularly and all that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're not offended by any of that. So, first of all, the fact that anyone took a moment to go, "Hey, this reminds me of," or "This sounds sort of like that," to me is kind of the point, right? You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
music is very personal in every single way.
Mhm.
Now, it's something we send out, and then you decide to make it your own in whatever way you like, and how you relate to it. That is so awesome. There's nothing not cool
Mhm.
about it. You know, but the references get odder by the day, but it's just hysterical. We love them, right?
Yeah,
So
that's what I mean. Just throw some sax in there, and it just had that kind of vibe. And I mean, I really loved his music. And what was it? John Caverdy? Is it John Caverdy and the
John
Beaver?
Caffrey, Beaver Brown Band, yeah.
Yeah, that always had kind of a party vibe, 80s, and we all grew up with that. So,
Yeah. They're like an '80s version of the E Street Band. Most of those bands are,
Mhm.
right? So that's funny. I went and saw Wang Chung for free. I got asked
I
out
love
on a
him.
date.
I love Wang Chung.
I tell you something? I was so surprised at how good because they had the huge horn section,
Yeah.
and it was just a fantastic show. And it was in an intimate theater too, so it was just great. But that's the one. That's one when people go, "What's one of the better?" I'm like, "You aren't going to believe it," you know.
Well, it looks like you guys were having a good time during the filming. It looks like one big party. You want to talk about the filming?
Well, yeah, I want to mention James's son, right?
Mhm, mhm.
I had a bunch of my cousins, right, and their kids, and my kids were there, and James brought his son, and then we had family members there and whatnot. The idea is that the song sounds like you're going to a party, right? You know, it's that kind of thing. Now Chuck came up with the lyrics. Q did the keyboard part, and it had a Jackson Brown feel to it. You know, at the beginning, if you listen to it, really to be honest, with you, I contributed probably the least to this whole thing, right? You know, my little guitar part, but it just was a fun song to play. And I was worried because when you film a video, it's very because you got to do it over and over and over again.
Mhm.
And I wanted to kind of get family together and kind of have it for everybody. My cousin has this great space. That's my cousin's pole barn is where
Oh.
it's right. And so it's great space, and we had talked about it years ago. And we have a lot of family parties out there anyway, right? I thought, well, we could just add, excuse me, we could just add some of our friends, all of our families, because they all have a connection to it some way, right? They're friends and family, and so it's like one giant, bigger family was the idea in my mind. And we'll just have a good time. We'll go out and do it. Well, they never lost a bit of energy. James, how many times do you figure we did that thing? At least 30 times, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. And they were full of energy from beginning to end and singing it, and we're singing it, and that kind of stuff makes it fun for us too. So we're method actors. We have to be funny. We have to have fun to be having fun or look like we're having fun. So,
Was there alcohol involved?
not initially. Later in the evening, we sat around and shot the breeze one night
Yeah.
because we had a bonfire afterwards, right? For people to stay, and we had a food truck there, and it's out in the middle of nowhere, so it's nice and safe and all that. But yeah, there may have been some cocktails. I know I didn't. We worked really hard to get that thing set up. I mean, that's an awful lot of work, and then it's taxing physically to do, right? Because it's like playing that same song that many times, jumping around and all that kind of crazy. So.
One thing I noticed about the song, you're giving instructions on how to do dance moves
Yeah, I bet Chuck is for sure.
for participation. That's good.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. You can't have me giving you dance instructions, right? You'd be better off if I gave you how to stand still instructions, and even that might be a problem. So.
Everybody was doing the wave and moving and all that.
Well, both these videos are kind of a decent representation of what we're like live,
Mhm.
because that's really kind of what it is. And Chuck is Chuck on fast forward the minute we hit the stage, right? It's something to see. That's one of the things we've all kind of marveled at one point.
Mhm.
James is Mr. Clean and Mr. Cool all the time, right? Always where he needs to be, bringing the high harmony, all that fun stuff too. Q is a show unto himself, right? So you just got to see it. But all of that's represented in all the videos, right, so far, which is really cool. And that's one of the reasons we decided on a live version, a performance type video, is because that's probably the best way to introduce to folks that aren't local and can't just drop everything and come see us or whatnot. So, and that helps with creating a wider audience so we can go
Oh,
somewhere else.
it's very inviting and makes a person want to see you live because it looks like, wow, it's a lot. They're a party band. They're fun. Everybody's dancing. It gives off a good vibe, just like the song.
Well,
There you go.
I think the song is probably a maybe a more concrete example of it in general, right? We stay away from heavy themes and politics. There's enough of all that stuff in the world that, music's an escape. The last thing you want to do is to hear in the music the same stuff you're hearing on the news, right? So we purposely stay away from all that and try to be positive, uplifting kind of type songs, right?
Yeah.
Save the political messages for for the nightly news or something.
Yep.
Music is so that you feel good. When you go out, you want to hear
Yeah.
feel good stuff. You're trying to escape.
Exactly. Yeah. Escape music. And Good Vibes is just maybe a more extreme version of generally what we try to do when we produce songs. It's positive, uplifting, happy sort of.
I would agree.
We're almost out of time. So I would like to hear, what are your plans for 2024?
Well, we want to move into festival stuff, right? It's fun. Everybody likes to play to a big crowd anyways, right? We're going to play with our buddies, the Van Go-Go's. We're going to do some shows. We're actually doing one with them in December. We're going to do some shows with them in the spring. Chase Engle, we're going to do some stuff with him and his band. They're great. Chase Engle on the night shift, love those guys. And really just more of the same. I think we're probably going to record again. We're actually writing these songs as we go. We're all kind of working on it all the time, right? So it'll be more of the same, but hopefully we can, it just feels like we're just about ready to make another step, right, on the ladder. I don't know what that step entails one way or the other, right? But it feels like we're almost at a pushing point, or a breaking point. We're going to move into something different.
Well, you're kind of an established band in the Detroit area. Will you think you will want to play, or will you play gigs in, let's say, Chicago or Wisconsin, or venture outside of the state?
We do want to, but we all, there's a couple things about it, right? One is that, we all have day gigs on step two right now, but would we like to? The answer is yeah. Here and then we played in Kentucky, had a fun time for that stuff. As long as it fits with our schedules and fits with, the fiscal responsibilities that you have, right? Then yeah, absolutely, right. We want to do some of that stuff. The cool part is at this level, and I think even the next level, we have the opportunity to kind of decide that. We're established older guys too, so it's not like when you're young, you'll sign anything to do anything, right? It's that kind of stuff. So, but we do want to meet other people and do other things, and some of that. At this point here, James, for me, it's about the experience, really.
Yeah, exactly. Like what Vern said, it's a bit different when you're in your 20s and you don't have a lot of, maybe pillars planted yet, right? Or your feet aren't anchored in one spot. We're us being older and having families and career type jobs, we just can't go take off on a bus for 6 months, right? So we have to be more selective, and basically it has to fit in with the schedule.
Yeah. Now the divorces are expensive because we're older.
Plus, I think the older you get, you want comfort. You don't want to be crammed in the back of a van.
That's an experience in and of itself too, right? The deal is we want to play in front of as many people as we can because we love it, right? You want to reach as many people as you can because we love it. But this is not something I have to rely on to make my living either, right? You know what I mean? So it's that kind of thing. So we have that great freeing part of it. It's like, all right, well, cool. We get to do this because we love to do it. There's not a component that says, well, I got to do this or I got to do that. I got to sell my soul to sign a record deal or whatnot. We just don't have to do it, right? And I think that's very freeing, right? And then we can be choosy about where we want to play, the guys we want to play with. That's why guys like the Van Go-Go's and Chase Engle and some of these other, like the Conquerors want us to come up with.
Well, you ought to come to Florida in the winter when there's snow up there.
That would be ideal.
Yeah. I mean, I go up there in the summer to get away from the heat. You need to come down here like in January or so.
It's funny. We all know people in Florida. There's no way.
Yeah.
That's when you know people who are in Florida this time of year or coming up, right? So for sure. But yeah, no, we'd love to. I mean, wherever it makes sense, we're happy to do it. Right? It's just that kind of. I guess that's the best answer.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever it makes sense. So we're open to literally anything. But
well, next summer there's a lot of festivals there, and I always like to go to the Arts Beats and Eats on Labor Day weekend. That's a fun one.
So we are. I think we're making inroads to actually play that one. I think Uncle Sam Jam is probably going to happen for us.
Yeah, that's usually around 4th of July.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a couple others that we have someone working on for those things there to kind of do the local stuff. Really, to be honest, one of the reasons that we're not going, oh, we got to run out the door and get on tour, stuff like that, is because we're still trying to build the audience here locally, which is Ohio and Detroit and Lansing. Now we're adding Lansing to try and get that. We've been over to the West Side, right? We kind of want to do some stuff over there. Once you're solid here, right, then you can go anywhere you want. You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing too. So.
What I like about Secondhand Mojo is the music is original. And I've noticed this tribute band trend, which I'm not really into, but you guys are original. Do you ever play covers?
We do some covers, not very many. The whole point of the band was to do original music.
Yeah.
Right? You got to have a cover here and there, right? You know, for certain venues or whatnot, or certain occasions, right? Not to mention the fact that when we first started out, our catalog wasn't big enough to hold a night, right?
Yeah.
You know, but as we grow and you know, there's stuff that we play live that we haven't put on a recording yet either, right? So that's kind of cool. So we always, and we're still ready to go to it. So now, literally, without covers, we can lay down a 2-hour show. You know,
that's long. 2 hours is long.
Yep. Well, and that's it. We're not a bar band, right? That's the other thing too. Is just we're actually a concert, right? When we show up to play a concert. You know, however long you need us for, whatever, that's fine. You know, but it's a concert experience. And if we're doing it at one of our venues, one of the shows we're promoting and whatnot, we bring lights, we bring sound, you know, the whole 9 yards. So
the whole concert experience, great.
Yeah, we're not taking requests, and you know, thank your bartenders and waiters, and you know, like Vern said, it's a miniature concert.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There's not
a
bar band.
Yep, and I think the values that we've all played bars, you know what I mean? You know, did it when we were young and all that fun stuff. Just wasn't interested in that going forward. And that's not to say it's a bad thing to do, and I'll be honest with you, that's a great way to learn, right? For sure. And some guys make a living doing it. I mean, some guys that and wedding bands, things like that. I just it doesn't hit where I want to be at this point, anyways. You know what I mean? So it's that kind of thing. But and I'm careful about the tribute stuff. Only because, really, to be honest, a lot of these bands, these national bands we play with that are opening, are shells of who they used to be or whatnot. You know, there's not a lot of members left or whatnot. It's cool to hear those songs. It really is. I mean, and it's nostalgic for me too. It's like everybody else.
Oh, they're familiar.
Yep. Could I do that? The answer is no. Like I couldn't do that for 2 reasons, right? That requires a different type of discipline than I want to apply, right? You know, the note for note, the look, the whole 9 yards. Here's the cool part: the look here is whatever I roll out of bed and put on that day, right? You know. And then, as far as the discipline, I don't want to play note for note what somebody else does, right? I'm more the blues school where it's these are the rails you want to work within, and then do whatever you want set.
And I think they expect you to be exactly like the original, like Brit Floyd.
Yeah, huge Pink Floyd.
They do a great show.
Have you seen Polka Floyd? Ken Haas from Reverend Guitars. He's in
no.
They actually do polka versions of Pink Floyd.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah,
that's really funny.
You've seen it, haven't you? Polka Floyd.
No, I don't know if I've seen it.
I need to look them up.
Yeah. So that's the CEO for Reverend Guitars out of Toledo.
Yeah, I looked them up.
And great guy and funny, great guitar player, but Polka Floyd. As a matter of fact, our first gig is with this lineup was with the Zimmerman twins. He's a guitar player in one of the guitar players in the Zimmerman twins too.
Yeah.
This is Secondhand Mojo with good vibes.
Just
You're listening to Rock at Night.
The introductory song, Get On Down, is from blues artist Billy Bass Alford. Look for his music at ReverbNation.com.